Speaking of good opportunities on the cheap, I am excited to bring in a CEO of ClearSign Technologies, who I know very well because of my long-term involvement with the company as an investor, going back almost, over a decade now, when they were just really an idea and trying to bring it to market. And I'd like to welcome in the CEO of ClearSign, Dr. Jim Deller. Jim, pleasure for you to join us today. Thank you.
Yeah, Lou, thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Yeah, listen, I know most people think in this world of Trump that there's nothing good about green technologies or clean tech that we've traditionally referred to it as, because they always thought of it as subsidized innovation, right? I think ClearSign, what's always interested me is this is one of the only technologies I've ever come across that actually is economical and is a cost benefit to adopters. That's not a cost of compliance, it's a benefit. So why don't you, just to get us started, tell everyone, what does ClearSign do? What exactly are your innovations in the energy space?
Yeah, thank you. So we have a broad range of projects, but they really have one fundamental basis, and that is we have a unique intellectual property that allows us to control flame chemistry, not to get into the details, but the critical pollutant from flames is controlled just by mixing, and the structure of the device that controls that flame. With that, we're able to replace standard equipment and enable our customers to get down and meet the regulations they have to comply with in a very economical manner, rather than having to buy some very expensive, what's the incumbent equipment. And then the other key to that is where they are capped, that their operations are limited by the amount of NOx emissions they're allowed to produce. By switching out the equipment, we can allow them to produce more stuff. They can get more done under that NOx cap because we can produce much less NOx as they do their work.
So you can comply, and I think this is important for reviewers to understand. The distinction here is you're combating the emissions creation before the combustion happens. You're addressing it then instead of after the fact. You're trying to control the flame shape, size, heat, density, all those factors to reduce emissions, so that you're not trying to play pickup after the fact and try and catch all the pollutants that are emitted. Is that an accurate, generalized description?
It is, yeah. I mean, the standard equipment in the industry is a catalytic converter unit that fits on the back end of the client's equipment. It takes the NOx out after it's made. Well, just like your kids, it's much more efficient not to make it in the first place.
Yeah, no, and let's talk about how do these products, where do they fit in, right? I mentioned you fitting into the energy space very nicely, and I know your product line has been expanding, which is important, as are your sales. Just reported the largest annual sales for the company. Yep. But for the benefit of our viewers, what are your main products and where do they fit in terms of the energy landscape?
So, well, at the name, we're getting a bit into details, but the process heaters. So process heaters are the main heaters in oil refineries. So oil refineries are our biggest customer, the petrochemical plant that make chemicals. We're expanding our product line. We're selling into the gas production, the midstream business. And then we have an extensive business in boilers. That is every industrial user of heat. Think of food processing, recycling plants, big municipal buildings, schools, government buildings, things like that. So anywhere that uses heat for either processing or to do what they do, it is really a potential, because and the equipment that our equipment fits into the equipment that uses that heat, whether it's for boilers or processing oil or making chemicals, but pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, and so this is a retrofit technology, right? This is not something where you have to rip out all the old equipment. You're replacing the old burners, but it's fitting right into the existing equipment that's there. Is that accurate for most cases?
It is, and we've put a lot of focus as we develop this technology to make sure that it's easy to install. So you take the old ones out, it just matches the hole, and that's the bolting patterns. You can plug ours right back in, and then the same for the operation. We've had to focus on making sure that it operates just like the old equipment, so that the users, the operators, and the control systems all work very well with the new equipment, just like the old.
Yeah, and I think what's important, we showed the chart there for a little bit, and it's painful. I know, the CEOs and investors get judged by the price every day. This is a screaming bargain in my mind. That's not a raving buy endorsement by any means. Please, people, do your own research. But look, you're on a run rate now with sales, which you guided for, and I will give you credit. Dr. Jim Deller came on into a very tough situation, rationalized the product lineup, found new sales channels, and started ramping up sales. But you're on track, correct me if I'm wrong, to reach break even, which is a rarity for small and micro caps, especially in the technology space. Do you still feel comfortable in that guidance with the current cash runway?
We do. I mean, that's our goal. We're on, I have to say I believe, but I believe we are on track for that.
Yeah. And so as investors, I think it's important to understand too, you have big markets that you're addressing. So not just in the refinery space, but industrial boilers. You've also rolled out some new products that open up new markets. Why don't you talk to us about that? So the core technology is now expanding into additional markets. What does that opportunity look like, and how quickly can you get new sales in those markets?
Yeah, we started. I joined in 2019. Where we focused on what we could commercialize quickly. Those are the burners going into oil refineries and the burners going into industrial boilers. We've recently got into the midstream gas market. We rolled out a brand new burner about a month ago. We've called the M1. That is a incredible burner, and I've got a technical background. That's probably one of the most exciting piece of technology that I've seen.
Your technical background, I want to pull back because maybe that'd be a little bit of understatement. If I remember correctly, you did your PhD studies in NOx formation. So you've been literally doing this and have probably seen every tech that's come across in the last 30, 40 years. Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying this is the best burner you've ever seen. And just for context, what makes you say, I mean, what is there traditionally a lot of innovation that comes in this space? I mean, for the benefit of viewers, help them put this in context so that they understand the gravity of that and that statement coming.
So for the big picture, the industry in general has been very incremental in the way that burners have been developed. I used to work for one of the big three in the world. I left to join ClearSign because the ClearSign burners were a radically different type of technology. In fact, it's the first time I've seen a very different way of controlling emissions and structuring a flame. That's what led me to join ClearSign. This new burner now has taken that technology, or that flame formation, the structure and the mixing that the standard ClearSign burner uses, and with the aid of our new computer modeling, has completely reimagined that and achieved it in a different way. And just the results of the burner, the efficiency is up, the NOx emissions are down, the controllability of the burner is up and down, the operability of the burner is up, and the efficiency in the heater is up. It's one on every single.
Checking all the boxes. So, and look, I think again, more context has always helped to have a friend tell people about it too. Is, you came to ClearSign from a very big job running Callidus burners, which I believe was over 100 million in sales. So you left an established player in the market to come to a startup based upon the promise of this technology. And would you say that now is coming to fruition, that what you anticipated, like this M series burner, is now part of what you originally anticipated?
Well, really the whole ClearSign business, getting the refining burners and the boiler burners established, the new AIM burner is really exciting, just the opportunities we see for that. And then we've taken the technology we have and the IP, and recently we started developing proposals and working with clients to actually produce big systems projects. So essentially you'll take the burner technology as the heart of something much bigger, but increasing the scope and providing the vessel and the structure around it. So in terms of a commercial perspective, you're taking a $100,000, $200,000 piece of burner technology and turning it into a $600,000, $1+ million supply of a system.
Yeah, that's a 5 to 10x. I think us investors would take that anytime if it was in a stock. I want to get some questions here. Again, I want to let everyone know you can join the conversation. Please bring in your questions. Looks like Bill here has written in, and it's a little hard to read. Bill, where's your font size? There we go. You've done an awesome job technically, but the business side is looking like landing a 747 airliner on a 500-foot runway. This development of the business side is running out of runway. Well, I don't agree with that, but Jim, how would you respond to that? That people are questioning the cash flow turning. I look at the revenue, but I'll let you answer first, and then I'll put my analyst hat on, and we can bat this around a little bit.
I think the understanding is in the market. When you're selling to companies like oil refineries, it takes them, they're very conservative. It takes them time to evaluate a technology and to get used to it, and then to take on those proposals. And even once you start on a project, it takes months for those projects to go through. So always the ramp up was going to be slow. We've got significant projects in the industry now. We have some very significant projects on the deck ready to be installed. We have a 20 burner supply on the deck in California waiting to be installed just after mid-year this year. We have another 26 burner project that's moving into the production phase, also due to be scheduled just after mid-year These are major projects in the industry. These are going to get the attention of the major players in the refining industry, and they're for the major players in the refining industry. And then the rollout of the additional projects that we have, and especially things like the midterm business going back to the M1, those projects are great because they turn much quicker. So we're starting to get, right, it's expanding, but it's starting to come together.
Yeah, it's a trickle then a flood. And I mean, as an investor that's been following the name for the story a long time and your progress, I can see it happening. And I think part of that comes down to how you came in, and the company was originally just trying to get kind of one-off demonstration projects to then have the validity to bring in customers and go direct sales to those customers. You've really opened up the sales channels by partnering with companies like Zico, Cal Boiler. Why don't you talk about that? How many different sales channels? How are you getting pulled into the market versus trying to push into the market?
So the different products is working different ways, but this was right from when I joined. This strategy was that a goal is to keep the company asset light. Zico is almost $1 billion company plus or minus. It's a global company with global manufacturing. To sell into the refining industry, you need certain industrial resources that a small company like ClearSign just can't provide. So we collaborated, formed an agreement with Zico that allows us to use their facility. They actually manufacture the burners for us. So the burners are built with their credentials. And then recently we have developed that collaborative agreement. So it's actually now becoming a Zico ClearSign dual branded burner that is it's on the Zico website. We've done teach-ins and promoted that to the Zico sales team. And now this $1 billion company, their oil refining process burner sales team is out there promoting ClearSign technology, enhancing the capabilities of what they've got to promote. And for ClearSign, we've got a massive sales team through that channel now promoting our process burners.
Yeah. It's a game changer. And I think we got another question here that's going to come at me, rightfully so, that I'd recommended the company probably about 7 years ago. What makes it different now? Essentially, I think you advised buying it already 7 years ago. If the tech is so good, why didn't this company succeed? I would tell you this, the company is succeeding. And here's what I've learned in my time. You can be early, but it has as many letters as being wrong. And I was wrong on getting the timing. And I think that's the hardest thing with technologies. And so what I've learned in my process now is really seeing sales traction. And this is what ClearSign is demonstrating finally. And I can say with the perspective of knowing that Jim brought that about. The company was previously run by management that I don't like to disparage people that just didn't do a great job. They were kind of scattered shot with the technology approach. Jim came in and rationalized that. He, to his credit, said it was going to take some time. It took the amount of time that you suggested, Jim. So, I mean, we got to applaud successes there. And now you're seeing it in the sales. So as you look out, I want to leave final word to you, Jim, because I see this as a unique opportunity. Again, in micro and small caps, there's a lot of volatility like we see in the markets. It gives you opportunities to buy in and take profits and sell out and come back in. And I think this is a great time to come back in. But why are you so optimistic about what's ahead in this year for the company, regardless of what's happening in the market today?
Yeah, I think you can define that with key markers. I mean, we've just formed this latter stage agreement with the Zico sales team. So looking for, first of all, the inquiries to come in through that team, and then to provide proposals and getting the sales through that Zico team and ramping that up. That's not going to be a 1 or 2 month process. We had our investor call yesterday. I gave some indications that realistically those orders may be towards the end of the year into next year. That's the scale of business. But bringing on that resource and having ClearSign technology marketed under the Zico name by Zico is a really big deal. Getting these big system projects out, getting these $1 million orders out rather than $100,000 burners is a really big deal. When you look at our revenue, that is hugely significant for ClearSign. We haven't sold any yet. We do have them engineered. We're having conversations with customers. So I can't tell exactly when they'll come in, but I do believe we're going to bring some of those in the future. That will be a big expansion of our business. Getting into the midstream industry. This is a wide and varied industry. The technology, I think we've hit a sweet spot. I think we've really found an opportunity for ClearSign there, especially with the M1 burner. I think we're going to see a lot of growth in that industry. And then with the new technology like the M1, I really think that is adaptable, maybe into new process burners, probably into boiler burners. We're working on that now. So I think that there is a lot of potential on different fronts. We're growing and diversifying that product line.
Yeah, no, look, I'm excited. I'm encouraged by the traction that you're seeing in the last year, you and the team. If you're okay with it, I'd love to keep abreast of your developments, have you come back on as you have major announcements to let everyone know. And look, folks, you saw the chart. The stock was trading for $1.50, $1.60 not long ago. That's more than a double from here if the market turns around and just starts realizing. So there's a lot of potential here, but it's being realized, and I think we'll see more of that. So Jim, again, thank you for taking the time today, and look forward to the next conversation on the big news for the company.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lou. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity.